You ever hear a story that sounds so insane, so impossible, that a tiny part of you still wonders, yeah, but what if? Because that's exactly what happened to me with this one. And I'm warning you now, once you hear it, you're never going to look at the Vatican the same way again. So picture this. A friend of mine or someone I trust sends me this grainy late-night message. He goes, "Dude, you ever hear about what the Vatican keeps underground? The stuff they won't even let their own scholars see?" I thought he was messing with me. But then he says, "I'm serious. There are rumors about ancient tech down there. Not scrolls, not relics, tech." I laughed. Because who thinks the Vatican is hiding technology older than recorded history? But the thing is, the Vatican has the largest secret archive in the world. More than 50 miles of underground shelves. And nobody gets in without permission. And that's where the story gets weird. So this guy, let's call him Marcus, used to work with a restoration team. They weren't allowed in the archives, but they worked close enough to, let's say, overhear things. One night, a group of visiting historians come out of a locked wing of the archives, pale, shaking, speaking in low whispers like they'd just seen something they weren't supposed to. Marcus asks one of them what happened. The historian gives this nervous smile and says, "Nothing, absolutely nothing." And then he says something even stranger. "Some things were never meant to be rediscovered." That line alone stuck with Marcus. But a few months later, he finally hears a story from someone who wasn't supposed to talk, but had a few drinks and did anyway. Deep underground, behind locked doors, are artifacts that don't match any known culture. Not Roman, not Egyptian, not Mesopotamian. Older, way older. But here's the part that freaked me out. These weren't pottery fragments or stone carvings. They were objects made of alloy, metal that doesn't rust. Some of them with clean grooves and symmetrical cuts that would require modern machining. One piece was described as a disc with a lattice grid, like a gear. Another looked like the handle of a tool with worn grip indentations, as if someone had actually used it. The restoration worker said the most unsettling item was a small hexagonal plate, perfectly smooth, with markings that looked less like writing and more like circuitry. When they tried to carbon date the dust on it, the machine spat out an error. Not because it was too new, but because it was too old. Older than the system's upper limit, older than anything humans were supposed to be able to make. Now look, is any of this confirmed? Number. That's the whole point. Nobody is allowed to confirm it, but I kept digging. And here's where things stopped feeling like a coincidence. In the late 1800s, the Vatican suddenly sealed thousands of documents and artifacts from public view. No explanation. In the 1940s, several Italian archaeologists disappeared during an excavation in Sardinia after discovering anomalous metallic fragments. Their notes, gone. Their artifacts, gone. The Vatican acquired the site months later. Fast forward to modern times. A researcher claims he found references to non-human fabrication in a restricted archive index. The Vatican responded by banning him permanently. Why? Why ban someone over a phrase? And why does every story about these artifacts feel like it gets buried the second someone mentions them? Marcus told me something else, something that stuck with me. He said that deep under the Vatican, there are rooms with reinforced doors, not stone, not wood, metal, heavy metal, like something inside those rooms needed to be contained. There's also this rumor, and you can believe it or not, that the church once had access to documents describing devices of the sky, not angels. They were described as objects built by ancient ones who harnessed the power of the heavens. That line gives me chills every time I think about it. Look, I'm not saying the Vatican is hiding ancient iPhones or alien engines, but imagine this. Imagine our timeline isn't as clean as we think it is. Imagine there was a civilization before us, way before us, that figured things out and then vanished. A reset, a collapse, an extinction event. Call it whatever you want. And small pieces of their world survived, just enough to confuse the people who found them, just enough to scare the ones who understood what they were looking at. Think about it. If you found an advanced tool from a civilization 50,000 years old, what would you do with it? Put it in a museum or hide it because it rewrites everything we know? Maybe that's the real mystery. Not whether the Vatican is hiding ancient tech, but why they'd feel the need to. Because if humanity wasn't the first to build, to create, to innovate, then we're not the peak of history, we're just the most recent version. And if there was a version before us, who's to say there won't be one after? If you want more stories like this, the ones that toe that line between unbelievable and maybe true, stick around. There's a lot more they don't want us asking about. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.